Hi and welcome to ReConfidence with Paps. I'm your partner in creating the life you desire and deserve. We are starting a new series on mental health, which is a personal conversation for me and for you. And I want to start with sharing my story. And I've had struggles with mental health issues, depression, and lots of anxieties twice in my life. I'm going to start with the first one when I was a 15-year-old. What was happening in my life in that season was just the struggles of teenagehood. First of all, the transition. I had never been to a boarding school until I was 12, which was also pretty young. And then getting to boarding school, I think the shock of the life there and the challenges and the struggles of just being in high school and being away from my parents. And then the other thing that was happening, I had also struggled with sibling relationships. Just the sibling rivalry dynamics, which also affected how I perceived myself and also my social skills and being able to just relate with other people in a healthy way. The other thing that was happening in my life, I was a very average child. And so I was struggling academically, just with my grades. All that just culminated into that space. And something else I want to indulge you in, when I was in Form 1, I was mob justice. I was a 12-year-old. I showed up in high school. You remember those times where you had to wait for your uniform to be made? So the fundi will come and then pima you and then anaenda hivyo anakam na uniform. And so during that time of waiting, we were supposed to go and do a presentation for the politicians. And I had to borrow a uniform because the Form 1s were all going. And then I remember coming back to school that evening and someone was like, Mona, what wenye mulikuwa mmeenda, like all the monas who'd gone to sing for the MP, please come here, someone stole my blouse. I was like, wow, who steals blouses around here? But shock on me, I was the one who was wearing that blouse that evening and I was beaten up. And I just remember standing there when I was asked where I got the blouse from, I didn't have anything to say. And I was mob justice as a 12-year-old. That was very traumatizing. And then, of course, later they had to change schools for me because I was really being bullied in this school. And going to another school without resolving the issues of where I was also very traumatic because I had lost a battle, I left it behind, and I hoped I would start over again. So Form 2, I'm trying to adjust, trying to get things together, and I'm really struggling with my grades. I was a very average child academically. And then come Form 3, third term, I am failing like totally, head first down. And I remember just having a conversation with my parents and they were like, Paps, I think this is just not going anywhere and we can't see any hope in you. Like I remember my dad just saying, I think you are hopeless. So go and have this relative talk to you so that you can try to style up because we don't see how things will go. And I remember going to stay with my auntie and that night, on 27th December, just really feeling a lot of despair about my life and really, really feeling hopeless. And walking out of the house, and I wanted to go and throw myself into a well that was just outside there. And then I got to the well, I was like, wow, if I got in there, how will they get me out? Like it really matters. And I remember that night just really sobbing and breaking down and really, really crying. And one of the things that I remember saying so many times was, God help me, God help me, God help me. And that night was my turnaround. And just feeling like that peace that I experienced that night has not left. These are how many years later? 23 years down. And when you think about depression and teenagehood, just some insights that I would really love to share because since that time, I've been very passionate to journey with preteens and teens and also parents to just parent children from a place of wholeness, a place of purpose, clarity, a place of emotional healing, is that teenagers struggle with big emotions, probably bigger than they think. That time when I was struggling that night with the suicidal thoughts, I didn't know what to call it. It didn't have a name. I was probably struggling with agony, anguish, sadness, despair, discouragement, shame, rejection, all those emotions, but I didn't have a word for them. And so it's important for you to understand that your teenagers may be struggling with big emotions and they don't have a name for it. So even if you ask them, what are you going through? What's happening? They don't know because it doesn't have a name sometimes in a child's mind. Of course, the teenagers in this generation are more self-aware than the teenager I was 23 years ago, but never assume that your child knows what they are feeling. And so give them options. And one of the things we encourage parents, have an emotional vocabulary chart for your children to be able to point out exactly what they are feeling. And then they're able to say, I'm feeling sad. And the other thing is also to have a emotions meter, if it makes sense, of 1 to 10. If you're feeling sad, is it a sad of 1 that you will sleep off and it will be okay? Or is it a 10 that we need to seek help right now? And the other thing also, when you're thinking of teenagers and children struggling with depression, is to also understand the environment affects a lot. When children are growing up in dysfunctional families, in violent relationships and marriages, when they are struggling, when they see their parents struggling with mental health issues, it actually affects them. Children feed off the energy of their parents, the energy of the family environment. And the other thing also, do not ignore sibling rivalry. Don't just say, when my children are fighting, of course, there's the normal sibling rivalry, the one that is just standard. But then there's the extreme one where you'll feel like there's one child who always gets into this mode that I can't understand. Or there's one child who is totally struggling to get along with the others. And so do not ignore the signals that probably your child needs help if they are struggling. And then the other thing also is to just listen. Sometimes you may not have all the answers for your child. You may not have all the answers of what they are going through, but just having those times that are scheduled and structured to just listen. One of the things I do with my daughter who is 8 years old, we usually have something called staircase conversations. So we just go, sit outside the stairs, and then she can talk about anything that is happening. And during those conversations, I've been able to pick probably bullying relationships. I've been able to pick when there is probably a child that is exposed in their class. I've been able to pick that probably she's struggling also with her behavior, and there's some things she's doing that she shouldn't do. I've been able to pick up probably her fears, her concerns, just from those structured conversations. And not very structured, because she's the one who comes up with the agenda. And so it's important to also give your child a podium and an opportunity and an audience where you just get to listen to what's happening to them. It's very important. And then finally, the other thing is to just remember that I am not the only person who can help my child. Do not be ashamed to seek for help, because sometimes I've been part of the mess in my child's life. Like even in my daughter's case, sometimes the things she will raise there concern me as well. I remember yesterday she was sharing how she went and shared a family situation that we were going through with my husband, with a life skill teacher, and also with her best friend. And so we are out there trending for the wrong reasons. But you know what? It's about understanding that I need a community. I need a tribe of people who are helping me raise my children. And so if you need to get your child to a mentor, to a life coach, if it's a teacher that is helping you journey with your child in school, do not be ashamed to ask other people to help you and support you, because it takes a whole village to raise a child. And if your child is struggling with mental health issues, don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. Just keep on asking yourself, what can I do to journey with them through this season? Because guess what? Now is not forever. I was a depressed teenager. I was a suicidal teenager, and today I'm journeying with teenagers 23 years later. And so it doesn't matter where they are. That doesn't define who they are. It doesn't limit their destiny. And so do not be ashamed. Seek for help. Look for people to journey with you and your child. And of course, the other thing, just pray. Just pray. There are so many things that only God can help. And that's it for today. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Please subscribe. Share with a parent you know. And let me know what you think about this conversation and any concerns you have. And also, what have you been doing to support your child if they're struggling with mental health issues? I would love to know. Please share down below. Ciao.